Good evening, everybody. I'm Jason Iasatis, and my guest this evening is a wonderful man I was speaking to today in my gallery in Totnes. His name's Shane Fudge. Shane, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's great to see you again.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Well, it's great. You've got a lot to offer people. I mean, I got your business card here, It's just amazing what you do. Um, Shane Fudge, PhD, certified Reiki master, diploma in life coaching, EFT practitioner, qualified NLP practitioner, certified in EMDR therapy, which you'll explain to us later, and transform your challenges into happier and more fulfilling life. Wow. So firstly, well done for what you're doing, Shane. Thanks for helping so many people. And I'll just have an opening quick thing. As people always know, I got to get this off my chest. So because I've got the shop in Totnes, Shane, it's quite a good template, really, because I get a lot of people coming in and literally I'm like telling me how they feel, in confidence. So I don't mention any names here, right? But
Yeah.
people are feeling almost like more than ever before, a tremendous pointlessness, a sort of monotony, a dissatisfaction, which I, as you know, say is a natural symptom from living in a system of debt, fear, struggle, profit, greed, that's driving you mad, right? And so they're natural symptoms. Now, of course, you don't want to, people don't want to stay in that state. That's where you come in to help them, people like yourself. But it's almost like people have sort of given up a bit of hope now, and the system sort of grinds people down. Louise was saying this earlier on. It sort of grinds people down, and then it becomes normal to feel very compromised, not quite yourself, not your shining, bright, beautiful spirit, yeah, which is vibrating way out there, which is knocked out of us in school generally, and the system of working, feeling crap about yourself because you haven't got enough money, debts, fear, debt, fear, debt, fear, debt, fear, is grinding people down. So I believe we're in a spiritual war now, Shane, as we mentioned earlier. Nobody should feel really like they fit in. I think that's really important to say. I think if people felt like they fitted in, I never feel normal that I fit into the system. And I don't think you should. You shouldn't fit into a system that's a mental asylum casino world that's driving everyone mad, and keeping everyone on the hamster wheel. So, where do you want to start with all this? I mean, I also want to add, sorry to everybody, this man's also a very practical man. He's been a hod carrier on a building site like I have, So this guy's lived a life like me. He's been in academia, research, teaching, all the stuff that you've done, Shane. So well done for everything you've done and for transmuting
Thank
all
you.
that into helping people, So I want people to be able to reach out to you tonight if they want to and get help, and everyone needs help, guys. Everyone feels it. It's a secret that everyone's got, right, Sean? Shane, everyone's got that feeling. They're just brilliant. They're brilliant actors masking it and pretending it's not there. And that's wrong. We should talk about this stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that in some ways I give some kind of inspiration to people because, yeah, I was a hod carrier and I left school with very few qualifications. I left during the Thatcher. So I left school. I was one of the only few people in my class to have a job, and I left school and I had a job in engineering. I was a crap engineer. I wasn't very good, so I got laid off 6 months after leaving school. So I had to pick things up from there, and then I ended up working for my dad, and he was a brickie and doing hod carrying. And then I went back to college, my late 20s, and ended up going to university, doing a degree and a PhD. And I guess I was in it for something like 2 decades. So it did come to an end eventually because I was always on short-term contracts, but no one can take that away from me. And I'm still using the stuff now because I write for the alternative media. So I've been writing for the Light paper, Conservative Women, of Guardian. I've just had an article published in there. So all the stuff I learned and I taught in universities is all being used now. And so it's good that I didn't waste that time. And I mean, I actually worked in a climate change department. So when 2020 came around, that was quite a big wake up call for me because I thought if they can lie about COVID, they can lie about everything else. But what it's done, it's given me a bit of insider knowledge into some of the steps leading up to 2020. You know, so I was involved in research on climate change and sustainability, and I've been able to use it in a very different way, you know, from an insider, you know, write some different stuff on all that, you know. And so I worked in academia for 20 years, but I was always interested in well-being and mental health. I mean, partly for my own use, you know, so I did my first Reiki course 30 years ago when it was hardly heard about in the UK. I did my first Reiki level, and then I did the other two, and my master's a couple of years ago. And in many ways, I kind of went on a spiritual path because it was to help me as well. And now as I still keep my practices going and that, hopefully I can help other people. I trained as a life coach during lockdown. So when lockdown came around, I tried to see it as a positive as much as I could. And I just done a life coaching a weekend with someone called Curly Martin, who's a brilliant life coach. But we had to get in 50 hours of life coaching. So I used that as an opportunity to just do Zoom in every day with, like, I think I did about 10 clients. So during the lockdown, I got my life coaching qualification. And there was always something missing. So the thing for me was EMDR I've been absolutely amazed at how powerful that is. I can highly recommend.
What is it for people? What to give people
EMDR is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. So what that means, and I'll try and break it down simply, is the lady who came up with this, Francine Shapiro, is a therapist. She was walking through, I think it was Central Park. She had a problem on her mind, and she started moving her eyes from one side of the road to the other for some reason. And she found that the problem that she had been thinking about started to dissipate. So that was interesting. So she started doing some trials. And what she did an eye move. So you start sitting in front of the person. So she had some guinea pigs and asked them to come up with a problem or an issue that they had going on in their lives. And she asked them to follow her fingers. So you move your eyes from left to right. And she did 2 years of trials on this, and she found that it significantly reduced any tension or emotional feeling they might have around a memory. And so she developed this further, and it's grown into a whole school now. And it's not you can use the eye movement, but the bilateral stimulation. So you can activate both sides of the body. And apparently what it does is activates the right and left hemispheres of the brain. And if you do that while you're holding an issue or a problem, it introduces a third party to it. So say in your everyday life, a bad memory comes up from your childhood, and which it often does, because we often experience life through memories, and that's how we kind of attract people or don't attract people. By introducing that third party to your thoughts, it starts to kind of release the emotional charge to it, because often memories of our childhood or difficult experiences we've had, it's the emotional charge. It keeps us stuck in our head and stuck in a loop. And what EMDR does, it interrupts that cycle. And it's been used in successfully for complex trauma, PTSD. And it's absolutely, I've been absolutely amazed at the results I've had with the clients I work with. Give you one example. I had someone who would, she had a problem with a lady she used to go out for dinner with. She used to kind of put her down and all the rest of it. I worked with this lady, and we did the eye movement like that. And it took her back to a memory from when she was a little girl, where she'd been trying to stop a fight between her sister and her dad and her mum, and she was the peacemaker. And we did a little bit of extra stuff in there. We brought in a couple of people that were influential in her life, that were kind of there, as introduced her into the memory while doing the kind of bilateral stimulation, and it completely changed the memory. And the next time she saw this woman, she said the energy between them had totally changed. It's absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything work that directly. So, you can go to a counsellor for years and years, talk about the same problems. This stuff actually gets to the core of what you're trying to deal with. And you can go away from an EMDR session, or, normally a couple of sessions you'll have anyway. And it actually will change the situation that you're trying to change. And you can work with all sorts of different things. I'm also trained in NLP, so sometimes I'll bring in different things to the package as well. And it's absolutely amazing. It's so powerful.
It's like having a toolkit, I suppose, Sean. That you've got a great list of tools there with the qualifications.
Yeah, I think something like life coaching. So you could maybe work. I've worked with people setting goals and things like that, but it's not always that simple. Sometimes you might have something that's you're procrastinating over. It might be something from your past. You might have been told in the classroom, you're no good at maths, so you can't do this. And when you're young, obviously, it will stick in there. And especially, if you've been embarrassed in front of your classmates or something, that thing will stay with you, and it will affect your future experiences in that. We've all got those kind of things. I certainly had. When I went to university, I had to work on a few things around my bad experiences in the classroom. But this is so good. It will just take you back to, say, an experience, that you're holding it, because generally in life, we try to avoid the things that challenge us. And often those things are memories from a past where we've been told we're not good at something, or shouted at, which I used to be in maths. I still have a fear of maths, from the teacher that shouted at me and that. And if it's done a different way, that's a whole thing in our education system. It should be about encouraging people, but often it's not like that at all in the classroom. And I've seen it from both sides. I've taught in classrooms, and I've been on the receiving end of teaching, and you get good and bad teachers, and so everyone goes through that experience. You can't choose your teacher. You'll kind of get what you're stuck with, don't you?
Some old teachers used to beat us up and throw things at us in Barry Boy's comprehensive. But do you want? I just want to put this in, Sean. A quick thing, right? It's not to prove anything to people, but I just want to say that a couple of things. Often people say, well, I don't understand how this works. Okay. Now, my wife gets in the car in the morning and she turns the key and she puts the car in gear and drives away. She doesn't know what's happening in the engine. That's not to put her down. I've taken engines apart. I know what happens when you take the clutch out. I know what happens with the pistons and the rings and the valves. What I'm trying to get at to people, you don't have to understand exactly how something works for it to work. And I'll give people a quick one on this, Sean. When I used to work with a tremendously powerful shamanic lady in Cornwall, who actually I did training with her. I was so fascinated by what she did. And I was very interested. I went to many sessions with her. And I shouldn't really say that here, but I'm going to, Sean, just to point out what you're saying, really, just to resonate with how things can shift so quickly, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't know how it works. So I used to go to her, and I was going to see my father, Sean. It was about 4.5 hours drive. And me and my dad had some issues. We loved each other dearly. He brought me up, but we had some issues, and my dad could never really show his love. I put my arm around him, and he was a Greek guy, so he wasn't really, he wouldn't say he loves you and things like that. Well, why should he? But he had that thing, that he couldn't really show his feelings and emotions. And there was reasons, obviously, maybe his mum and dad, or he was just Greek, but he loved me in other ways. I knew he loved me dearly, and Anyway, I went to this woman's house and she did a session. She said, I'm going to do a session with your dad. I'm just going to do a chopping of the cord to the bad things between you. And she said, just bring but keeping the love and the beauty between you. She said, you're driving there when you leave here in 4 hours' time, you'll get there. Don't be surprised if something's really shifted. And even though I knew how brilliant this woman was and I'd seen miracles happen there, I thought, well, we'll see. You know what I mean? Drove there. I never forget it as long as I live, Sean. Shane, I knocked my dad's door. He opened the door. He was like a different person. Don't ask me how it works, but he opened
Wow.
the door. He went, Jace, hey, come on in, mate. Come on in. Come on in. Lovely to see you. He put his arm on me. Sit down, sit down. I thought, what's going on? Something's shifted and changed it. And I'll never forget, as long as I live, he had never told me he loved me, yeah? Although I knew he did. And
Yeah.
he sat me down, Shane. He was tapping the table going, how's it going, Jace? And it's like he had to get something off his chest. He said, look, he said, just want to say, you know I love you, don't you? You know, it's like, what? You know I love you. I said, I know I love you, Dad. You love me. I love you as well. But he never said that. Now, that's no coincidence. That's a tremendous shift in the energy patterns that
Yeah.
somehow took place. But my point is, you don't have to know how things work, but they can work. And sometimes you don't need to know all the
Yeah.
nuance. You know what I mean, Sean? Yeah,
Yeah.
Shane. People sit in front of you and things shift and change. You know, like the Pono guy, Joe Vitale. We spoke about him earlier on, didn't we?
Yeah.
That guy, I'll just give
Yeah.
people an overview. I love Joe.
Amazing guy.
That guy, there was Sean, you tell him about it, but there was, just to give him the grim details, there was a guy there was a mental hospital, very violent patients. No one could do anything with them. And you were scared to walk down a corridor. And they said to this guy, you know, I forgot his name now, not Joe, another Joe guy. And they said, go in and try. And
Hugh Len, I think his name.
what was his name?
Hugh Len.
Hugh Land. Right. So tell
Yeah,
us what
Dr.
happened.
Hugh Len.
Tell us what happened.
Oh, well, he'd got this job. I can't pronounce his Christian name. He's Hawaiian. It's quite a... but I know it's Hugh Len. If you wanted to look him up, that's Dr. Hugh Len. But anyway, he got appointed to be governor of this hospital, and staff were leaving all the time. It was very violent, you know, really violent. You know, the inmates in there were really kind of... It was very difficult to deal with them. And what all this guy did was... they had all their ID in the office, and he went into the office with all their photo ID, and he started doing the Ho'oponopono phrases, which are, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. That's all Ho'oponopono is. It's a prayer to the divine. And this guy said it to these photos over and over again, over 3 or 4 days, over a week. And his inmates started to heal. These inmates started to heal, and the atmosphere in the hospital changed.
They came off the antipsychotic drugs and everything, didn't they?
Yeah. Significant improvements in all of them. And people stopped leaving. The atmosphere in the whole place started to change. And it wasn't very well. I don't think it was very well. Joe Vitale heard through a friend of his, and he started researching it, and he was probably the first one to really kind of pull this into the mainstream.
And he went to see him, didn't he?
He did, yeah. No, they're friends. They've done seminars together and everything, yeah. Just 4 phrases. And I use them in my own life now, and it's so powerful.
Say him again.
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you.
Thank you. Yeah. They can feel all they really are. They're a prayer to the divine, and what they are doing, they are. So we're in a position now where life isn't easy, and people are acting unreasonably, and it's difficult. But one way you can center yourself and focus on your own healing is to say these 4 phrases, and they really work. I've been using them for a number of years now, and the last couple of weeks things have been quite difficult, and I've been using the phrases, and they've really, really helped me to just stay positive and to know that anything that comes into my life or my energy field, just by saying these phrases, they'll help me to cope with it. So it's not about controlling how other people act. These help you. So people often trigger things in us when we meet them and that. So just by saying these phrases, you're clearing those memories, and the memories I was just talking about that could affect us. Just these 4 phrases can help you to stay centered. And I would strongly recommend for people to kind of definitely look up Joe Vitale, but look up Ho'oponopono, and there's loads of stuff on YouTube as well that you can look at. And there's lots of different ways of applying it as well. Sometimes I'll do a meditation in the morning, just saying the 4 phrases, and I say them as though I'm speaking to the divine. You don't have to send them to anything specifically, although you can do that. But I find a powerful way for me is you just say them in your head. You don't have to say them out loud. You just say them, just repeat them. And it does a number of things, really, because we often get caught up in our own thinking where we go back in a loop and we start thinking, brooding on something. And Ho'oponopono can break that, because you'll bring in a totally different set of thoughts into your head, rather than the ones that you're stuck on a loop, which, most people know that it's our thoughts that start negative thinking, feeling bad, feeling depressed, feeling angry. It all starts with our thoughts. And if you can kind of gain some measure of control over your thoughts, then you're really in a very, very strong position to change your reality.
Well said.
That's where it starts, with your thoughts, and most people, your thoughts act on a subconscious loop. But when you start to become aware of what you're thinking, and like, to use something like Ho'oponopono, it's a game changer, really. It's, in a time like this, it's an absolutely brilliant. I used to go on the protest marches in London and in Bournemouth at the lockdown, and did like 3 years of doing that. And I always used to chant that in my head as I was doing to kind of just bring peace, a peaceful vibe to it. I mean, they were peaceful protests, but the police had other ideas. They wanted to turn it into something else.
I remember I was with, and before I say anything, just a minute, Shane, I just want to say something. People have commented something on some of my shows. They've said, look, you're doing the secret hand gestures. And I just went like that with my fingers as I was talking to you. It's like, can you do me a favor, everyone? Get over yourselves. I'm not in the Illuminati. Sometimes I just put my fingers together, right? Or sometimes I go like that because I'm Greek, or sometimes I go like that. Stop it now, But people sometimes do. But just a quick thing, Shane. I remember I was with Gareth Icke, Piers Corbyn, Zach Cox, and another couple of people up in Birmingham. Full lockdown, it's very unnerving, isn't it? And we were surrounded by police there was police on.
Yeah, absolutely.
There were police drones or something. Wow. And it's a very, very unnerving thing. But back to that thing, what you said about the mind, because I often try and help people. Sometimes in the shop with I've talked a lot about it in my own book, and about finding that peace, which is the greatest treasure of all, no
absolutely
thought.
100%.
And people say it's impossible to have no thought, but it's actually not. You can have a blank mind, and because but if you are struggling with your thoughts, what Shane's saying is a great thing, because you can just fill your mind with those thoughts on a loop, which will eventually actually calm things down, and love and the power within that can actually dissolve all that fear and anxiety. And there's many techniques we know, but sometimes it's very simple, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the mistake when I started using it many years ago, sometimes I can be like that. I'll stick with something for a while and then stop. And it sometimes can take you a few years to actually understand the full power of something. And I think the usual mistake, I expected high things of just doing a few chants a day, and now I'm much more I just know that it's working on some level. So I think my experience of using Ho'oponopono has changed. It was 2011, I think somebody introduced me to it, and I stuck with it for a while and then stopped because I expected amazing results. But now I've gone back to it and I've got a totally different view of it now. I can just see that it's powerful, and it just helps me to feel more peaceful, definitely.
Well, we need all the help we can get, Shane, because the greatest threat to humanity, sorry to oversimplify everything, and everyone will be saying, yeah, Gaza, this, Ukraine, yep, psychopaths with guns and bombs making other people die for their psychotic, delusional manifestations. But the mind is the greatest threat to humanity, because most things you see created by mind, made manifest through thought and action.
Yeah.
I had what's that lady I mentioned to you today, Lynn McTaggart. I had her on the show. She wrote The Power of It. used to sit with people and actually think of shifting things and changing things with people's health in their bodies, and also in outcomes. And actually, it works. It really, really does. It's very
Yeah,
powerful. I think most people don't know how powerful the mind are, and our thoughts
yeah.
pointed towards a direction and an outcome are very, very powerful, Shane. And I think we've got to start using our minds in a wiser way. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this whole agenda since 2020 is, these people know how powerful we are, and they're using all the strategies they're using are all based around the mind and keeping us in a very low vibration, keeping us in the baser energies like anger, fear, guilt, shame, which you saw in Mask Wearing and all the adverts, and they are all designed to elicit the base emotions, and to do that on a repetitive basis. There was a lot of NLP I remember being used in the adverts, hands, face, space, things like that. In threes, NLP's a big one for doing those.
Is it? Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And all the visual images, and they're all designed to kind of keep you in fear, because of course people are more easily controllable when they're in those emotions. And that's the whole thing, is to keep you. So anything you can do to keep your spark brighter is worth doing.
Yeah. Well,
Whatever works for you. Have you heard of HeartMath? HeartMath is really good.
HeartMath.
That's something that people can use instantly as well. There's a place called the HeartMath Institute in the US,
HeartMath.
and HeartMath, yeah, it's and I use it in my sessions sometimes to calm clients down if they're getting a bit anxious. And all you do, I just put my hand on my heart.
Well, let's try. Let's get people to see if they want to try it now while they're
Yeah,
watching.
sure. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Let's
So
try it.
think of a situation that is bothering you.
Even your own anxiety or mad thoughts.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Right.
yeah. Think of a situation, and you can use this. It's there's 5 steps to it. It's really, really quick, and you can use it anytime. What I always do, I put my hand on my heart. So I think of the situation. Put your hand on your heart. Close your eyes if you want, or you don't have to. You can if you want. Think of that situation and breathe it into your heart. And the reason I say that is that a lot of the problems people have when they're in a state of fear or anger is that they'll feel the feeling and immediately go to their head, and they'll add a label to it, which makes it doubly difficult to shift. The thing with HeartMath, it takes the emotion, it takes you out of your head and down into your heart. So what I do then, so I think of that situation, I breathe into it, say 5 times. So breathe straight into your heart. Breathe and welcome that feeling in. So that feeling of anger or anxiety, breathe into it and welcome it into your body, and don't resist it. Just breathe it in as much as you can.
However big the problem, yeah.
Yeah. So you're working with the situation, whatever situation it is. It might even be an image, and then breathe it in for however many breaths you want. I would recommend about 5, say 5 to 10 breaths. So you're welcoming this feeling in 5 to 10 breaths, yeah.
We're not instead of resisting it and fighting it, sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you are, it's fine. Don't beat yourself up. If you still think you're resist, that's absolutely fine. It's not a problem. Don't, just go with the exercise, and you might want to try it a few times on the same situation. Then, what I do then is think of a wonderful time in my life. So you've been breathing in this difficult situation. I then take it round to an event in my life. So say my first graduation. I think about that. I fully experienced being there and visualize it, the feelings I had, and then you breathe that into your heart. And you watch that change, that original feeling, that will totally flip where you were. You might have to do it a few times. So all you're doing is a couple of 3 steps. You're thinking of the situation that's bothering you. You're breathing it in and welcoming it as much as you can into your heart. Then you're visioning another situation which is more positive, and you're taking that over the top of it, and that will change. That will create what we call a state change, and it's very powerful. Go on the HeartMath Institute. There's loads of research they've done on the power of the heart, because the heart is the times we're moving in, it is about opening the heart and coming from the heart and not the head. That is, if I was to summarize the ascension process, that's what we're being led through.
Oh,
And
thanks,
doing
Shane.
something like that is going to really, really help as well.
Thanks, Shane. And talking about the situation we're all in, as you know, I talk about slavery, maybe too much, but I've always felt it's always sat very horribly with me about how people are treated, and the slavery and the debt and the shame and the misery they've got to go through secretly. And I've often said to people, and in my book, that there's a tremendous thing inside humans, which is actually a tremendous asset placed in there by the divine or by nature or whatever you believe in.
Yeah.
A tremendous capacity in each person, Shane, to endure suffering, pain, boredom, an actual misery, and monotony, if you like. That's a great asset because it keeps us going and doing things when we would give up. But that's being taken advantage of. Most people don't want to do the same job, don't want to do the same monotony for 40 years, but they're scared of being sort of laughed at, or, well, you can't cope, or you're weak. And I said to you today, we've been turned into beggars and prostitutes in this system, and it's become normal. Whether you're buying and selling stuff, or whether you're selling your own product, or it's almost been twisted and made us feel like we're begging people to give us money. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So on that basis, and moving forward with that, and I'm not doing hand signals like everybody. I'm just putting my fingers together. The Illuminati. It's like, oh, look. It's like, ooh. It's like, get out of it, man. Get over yourself. So I'm not in the Illuminati, and I'm not in the Masons, okay? Although I've been invited to the Masons by someone, and I'm not going, okay? So that's fine. I'm sure there's a lot of good people in the Masons. My own grandfather was a Mason.
Right.
A Greek guy, and in Barry, South Wales, and he wouldn't have known anything bad about the Masons. He was just a low-level sort of
The
guy.
low levels don't know much, do they?
No, trying to get in business for his business. But where are we, Sean? Where do you see us going with all this stuff that's going on? People have said to me, you've got a great broad view on this. People have said to me, it's all playing out, Jason. Like, biblically, it's got to go terribly, horribly wrong. Then there's going to be a second coming. Jesus is going to come and save us. Or Trump, apparently it's Trump by what he's doing and what he's saying. But I hope it's not Trump. But I also hope it's not Biden,
Yeah.
or any of the other monsters, or Netanyahu particularly. They say the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and then they're going to destroy that. So where do you see us going as humanity? Has it got to get really horrible and terrible, Shane? Is that part of the smelling salts and the chloroform lifting and the amnesia? As the shackles got to get so tight? Have people got to be in such misery and despair that they actually say these maniacs are not responsible enough with the power they've got because they don't care about us? Yeah. So has it got to get more glaringly obvious that these people are nuts? And they don't care, and they're psychopaths and warmongers?
Well, it's like when you shine a torch in a dark room, because there's more light flooding on the planet and more people are waking up. And I know they are, because I remember going to the demo in London in August 2020, and I think there was something like 30,000 people there.
Was that the one where
And
David Icke was on stage with Kate Shiminardi and Mark Steele
yeah,
and
I'm
Piers
pretty
Morgan?
sure. Yeah, and Pierce Corbyn was there, wasn't he? Yeah.
I was backstage. I was supposed to speak that day, yeah.
Oh, really?
But that's when I got banned actually, and on my YouTube, everything got taken away because I was interviewing
Wow.
people on the streets. But carry on, Shane. Yeah, what an amazing, wasn't it? Amazing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was. Yeah, yeah. I mean, those protests they got gradually more violent. The police gradually got more and more pissed at us, and but anyway, yeah. I was watching a podcast the other day. This guy who channels stuff, and he was asking the divine, what's going to happen? How far are we into lifting the veil? Revelation, that's this book of Revelation. It's lifting the veil, isn't it? And he said they were saying we're about 40% into it, so there's a lot more to go. But the great, people are waking up. It might not appear like it is, but I've noticed a difference in 6 years. But there is going to come a point when people will have no choice but to wake up, because a lot of people are still on this consumer kick, aren't they? And still into kind of denial, that things are going to kind of, and all thinking that things are going to return to normal, but things can never return to normal.
But that normal was always insane,
Yeah, of course. We just didn't know. All these things were always going on. We just didn't know about it. I count myself lucky that I would say I was semi-awake in 2020. I knew there was something.
Semi-awake.
Yeah, well, I mean, I still believed in climate change because I've been teaching it, but it was 2020 where I kind of finally, when I just thought, well, if they can lie about one thing, I can lie about everything. And then I started doing my own research. When we got locked down, went away, and my mate in Wales, he's still my best mate from university. He was telling me about this stuff a long time ago and telling me to, all the stuff you're doing is for the is bad, sustainable development. But I never I just didn't realise the depth of corruption and evil in this world, and I'm glad I didn't at the time. I don't think I would have coped with it. Imagine working in a climate department when it's all bunkum.
Wow. So give us something. I mean, I've had Piers Corbyn on this show many times, and I've had other climatologists on. I forgot there's one particularly quite famous one. And forgive me if you ever watch this, I've forgotten your name, but look at my shows and you'll see it further back. But
yeah,
they've said about this hockey stick thing and how people have been all that kind of people have been lied to. Give us some examples of how people have been, because again, it's that guilt thing. It'll be like the COVID thing when we get 15-minute cities. Thank God.
Yeah.
I hope people will say you're killing your granny. If you drive
right, good.
Oh, it'll be just like COVID, won't it? But give us some examples.
Yeah, of course. It's the same thing.
What made you?
Well, the hockey stick's a great start because you must have heard. Did you know the Mark Steen thing when he took the guy that came up with the hockey stick? I'm trying to think of his name now.
Mark Stein off GB.
Michael Mann. Michael Mann's the guy that came up with the hockey stick theory. And the hockey stick theory is that, so on a graph, so I'll just draw it with my finger, that since the 1960s, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has gone up literally in a big line. But what they don't tell you is that to come up with that hockey stick, he deleted loads of time. He deleted, I think, 2 periods in history. One was the medieval warm period when there was more carbon in the atmosphere than there is now. So it's an all absolute fabrication. And the IPCC's, all their stuff is based on his work. It's just that, and Mark Steen took him to court on this. Mark Steen, the guy that worked in TV.
Didn't Mark work on GB News until they booted him off?
He did, yeah. This was early 2024, I think it was.
I like Mark a lot, yeah. I like that.
Yeah. And he tried calling this guy out, but the courts went on the side of Michael Mann. I mean, you remember ClimateGate just before COP? It's when there was a load of emails leaked in East Anglia, which is, they've got the Tyndall Centre there where, no, sorry, that's in Manchester. But the University of East Anglia are one of the universities, and one of the ones I was working with, one of the kind of main networks of universities, you know, where you kind of all the main research is done in that. And there was a load of emails leaked, and they were all laughing about the hockey stick, all these climate scientists saying, oh, it's Mark's magic trick and all this kind of stuff. And still people don't, and it took me, you know,
Michael, not Mark, Michael on it, Michael Mann,
yeah, Michael Mann,
yeah.
Mark
They
Steen.
They said it's Michael's magic trick, yeah?
Yeah. Wow. Or something along those lines. Yeah, you know, and I mean, the thing is also you've got kind of, it's been dressed up in different, in the 1970s, they were saying there was going to be a new ice age. And then it was
that the Al Gore?
Global,
Al Gore?
No, this is back in the 1970s. They've been, because if you think, you get, well, for me, the year zero was 1968. You had the formation of the Club of Rome. And now the Club of Rome was funded by the Rockefellers and another guy, an Italian guy, and it was set up as a think tank to look at global population levels, because there's always been this thing with the elites about they're worried about global population levels. And the Club of Rome, and there was also a book that came out in 1968 called The Population Bomb by a guy called Ehrlich. It's a very famous book. It crossed over into the bestseller list. But what happened from 1968 was that there was this momentum building up around sustainable development. And governments, and you had lots, the Rockefellers were funding climate change research back in the 1950s, the Rockefellers, and they saw this as a way of introducing this kind of sustainability argument, which is kind of basically the veil for what they wanted to achieve out of all of this. So you had Limits to Growth, came out in 1972, and that's a Club of Rome report. And they did some rudimentary computer modelling around, and it was affluence, population, and technology. So looking at the interrelationships between those, what would resources and the biosphere look in 30 years' time or 40 years' time and that. And they said that technology wouldn't keep up with affluence. People would keep buying, keep consuming resources, keep making impacts on the environment. And what you've seen since this time is a momentum building up around sustainable development that started around about this time. You had Earth Day in the US in 1970, and a lot of these NGOs are all kind of funded by the same group of people that want this agenda pushed. And eventually it made it into kind of mainstream governments over a kind of 40, 50 year period. It took a long time for them to get in there, but once they got in there and made this kind of mainstream policy, sustainable development, and now we've seen that it's at the apex of what's going on. You know, sustainable development is at the absolute apex of what these people are trying to achieve now.
So what's the main reason they want to do that? I mean, I'm quite interested at the moment with the thing about the oil and everything. They're almost, it seems like they're wiping out the oil refineries and causing all sorts of chaos out there. Is there a sort of part of the higher, I'd like to say lower echelons, but the higher echelons of the people who really want control in the world, then I suppose they're also quite greedy and they want the profit off the oil. But then where's the rift between them and the people that want to get everyone into electric cars, 15-minute cities, and confine people to doing what they want them to do with digital ID and stuff like that? Where do you see it going with that, and what's going on in the world at the moment?
Well, it's all...
Sandy Adams talks a lot about the end of 2030 and all this going towards there. Where do you see it going, Shane?
Yeah, well, 15-minute cities, and I call it the triple lock, and it's the way this is going. So we're not there yet, but we're well on the way to going there. So you've got digital ID, central bank digital currency, and social credit scores. And once these are all in place for the 15-minute cities, there will be no going back. That is the plan. So, and it is about limiting our use of energy and resources, giving us carbon allowances. Basically, kind of, it's about ring fencing resources and the environment for the elites. That's how I see it, and they see us as a threat to that. Yeah, there's always been this kind of view on, distrust in the masses, and and keeping us under control. And I mean, how do you keep an empire in place? All your subjects have to be some kind of adherence to your empire, don't they? And
Ultimately, Shane, sorry to jump in, but I get this vision in my mind, ultimately that if it's the total digital enslavement, if we're speaking on you now, because I was reading George Orwell, 1984 this morning. I've got the book downstairs, and we're speaking like this now. The algorithm will pick it up that we're talking about government, and in the morning,
sure, yeah,
our bank accounts, our digital ID bank accounts will be shut, and you will have to redeem yourself and apologize, obviously, and say you're never going to do it again. I got a feeling with AI that'll automatically happen. It'll be like bank shut,
of course, yeah,
open mouth, bank shut.
Palantir.
But most people would never believe that was possible. And let's be honest about it, Shane. We were the tinfoil nut jobs, not so long ago. I've had people like looking at me like, but what we've talked about is coming true. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
for any glory. It's the last thing I want to happen. And I'll make a point here to everybody. I've said it many times. My dream come true is that someone can walk in my shop or phone me and say, Jason, I've got some great news for you. I'd say, what? They'd say, you were completely nuts. You're psychologically terribly unstable. All these things you were saying about the government was absolute rubbish. They're actually the most wonderful people who've got their people's best interests at heart, and they're ethically and morally sound. You were completely deluded. I would jump up and down, Shane. I'd run down Totnes High Street in my underpants shouting, hooray, I was wrong. I'd phone all my family and
yeah.
apologize. That's my dream come true. I don't want to be right about all these things.
No, we
It's
don't.
the
Of
worst kind of nightmare that these things
course, yeah,
they're creeping slowly, 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 and they will become normal. But that's where they want to go. I mean, there was a great interview with Aaron Russo. You can still get it on YouTube. Aaron Russo is a comedian and a documentary filmmaker about this kind
yeah,
of thing, alerting people to the slavery that was coming. And he was interviewed and is still on there. And he was friends with Nick Rockefeller. And only once he had cancer and he was dying, he spoke about what Nick said to him. Nick said, "We're going to micro." He said, why do you want to control everyone?" He said, "Well, we're going to microchip everybody, Nick. That's what we're going to do. Complete, and utter control." I don't think they will have to microchip people. All they got to do is bring in the digital ID, and that'll be the end of it,
yeah.
But most people think they'd
I mean,
never be that sinister. They'd never do that. And now with Gaza and with Trump and with Ukraine and with all this sickness that's coming out, the Epstein files, I think finally, the smelling salts is reaching more noses, Shane, and they're going, oh my God, are they really this evil?
mm,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, that's the plan, and you just look at the end goals. There's loads of distraction, but just look at the. I mean, it's interesting. I was reading earlier, George Orwell and Aldous Huxley warned us that we are always a couple of steps away from what we're seeing now. I think Orwell. I think he had some. He knew some insiders with the Masons. So I don't think he was, or if he was, I think he did write that book as a warning. I think he was a genuine guy. And of course, Aldous Huxley's brother, Julian Huxley, was a staunch advocate of eugenics. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this has always been going on. I mean, and you're talking about technology. I'd lost my train of thought then. You must, a Palantir.
Hey, you lost the train of thought because you got to all the aluminium in your system from the bloody geoengineer they
Yeah,
made
that's
you.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, like George
I
Monbiot
mean,
in the Guardian. In the Guardian, he said I was a conspiracy fictionist. It's bloody in the sky every day. So not every day. Some days it's completely blue, and you see a little tiny trail behind a plane. Nothing. And then the next day, stripe. They've been doing it tonight, and that is coming out now. So
yeah,
people are breathing that shit in, and
yeah.
Maria Crystal, I've had on my show, a blood analyst, and tells you what's in your blood from that stuff. That is one of the biggest threats. So sorry. I've made you lose your train of thought again, probably, but carry
No,
on.
I've got it back.
Go on, go on.
Yeah, Palantir. I mean, it's really Peter Thiel. People like because the MAGA Make America Great Again. Underneath that is the Silicon Valley crew that Trump has brought with him. That's who you have to look at. That's where the real power is. And you look at Palantir, they're rolling out a program. I think it's called Goliath. That'll be able to. You're talking about us being monitored on air. They'll be able to accumulate data from every different source that you can imagine and build a profile up of people like me and you. And they're going to be using predictive policing with it. That's not me just saying that. That's going to happen.
What do you
And
mean?
it's in the process of happening now.
What do you mean predictive policing?
Well, they will gather data on everyone from all the different sources they can get the data from, which of course they've got access to. And they will be able to build up a profile of each of us and what's going to be your threat to the state. So it's not only what you're doing, it's what you've done in the past and what your threat to the state is. People have the social credit system in China, and everyone looks at that as the model of where we don't want to go, and rightly so. But their social credit system is, and I'm not saying it's right, but it's actually transparent. So the people know what they can do and what they can get away with, how they can make up points. Say they've said something on social media, they know they can go out and do some community work elsewhere. Over here, it's going to be much more opaque, and you're not going to know. It's going to be run by private companies, and it's going to be a very different system to China even. It's going to be even more dystopian than China.
My God. Well, look, we're going to run out of time in a minute. So before we leave, I want you to give people some hope, right? but listen, the thing is, everybody, there is great, look, you've got us. It's like Gurdjieff said. I've said it so many stupid times, but Gurdjieff said, if you want to escape from prison, you've first, that's my dog, yeah. If you want to escape from prison, you've first got to see the prison and understand it, or no escape's possible.
Of course, yeah.
There is great hope, everybody, but it's just a bit. One quick thing I'll say before I carry on with this. When someone comes to my shop and they say, I feel terrible, I feel really, really depressed, I feel really anxious, I can barely, Sean, I get it. I can barely stand it anymore. I don't want to be here anymore, actually, some people say to me, yeah? And I've said this many times, but it's just a joke, but it's true. I say that's exactly how you should feel. That's a natural symptom from a beautiful soul, a precious soul that's in a system that's driving it mad, right? Now, when people say to me, oh, Jason, but I can't look at anything negative about government and stuff, it's so depressing. It's not depressing, because once you understand how the system's designed to trap you, enslave you, put you in debt and keep you there and take your power and your consciousness down, once you understand that that's true, that's not depressing. It's very, very liberating, because it lets you realize.
Knowledge is empowering.
Because it makes you realize why you didn't feel quite right all your life. You mean, it wasn't my fault that I never fitted in. It wasn't my fault that I never felt quite right. Oh my God, that's liberating, man. Anyway, sorry, Shane, I'm going boom, boom, but
I mean, but one of the recommendations I would make is definitely to meet with like-minded people. That helps me enormously. Then you're not going mad. There are other people that can see the same things.
Or perhaps we're just all mad people together. Yeah. I'm only joking. Well, look what happened in the shop today, Shane. You came in my gallery, didn't you? We were talking about things, and in walked those two beautiful people. She's going to come on my show that are creating a new model of schooling systems, and we talked about all these things with them today. And my God, that was no coincidence. It's like things are starting to come into place now, and we're
They are.
starting to meet people. Yeah.
And also, you can't see the full picture. There's loads of good people working behind the scenes to change this. It's not, and also I would say, this is advice to myself as well. You need a balance. Don't look at all the negative stuff, and have a balance. Do some stuff, go out in nature, go out with some friends and try and live your life as normally as you can while being aware of what's going on, and I say that myself. Sometimes I've been out of balance. I've been writing articles, I've been heavily involved in it, and it can make you feel disillusioned, but I'm pretty confident. I think there's more people waking up, and we're a lot stronger than they give us credit for, and that's what they're worried about. And they've got every reason to be worried, I would say, definitely.
And you're
Because
right.
we're a lot stronger and more powerful than you could ever imagine.
You write for the Light newspaper, and I've got my shows are going on the Clear Air FM, which is Dan Smith's radio station now, and they're
Oh,
doing some great work. And they banned those newspapers being put through doors in Totnes. Shane, that's
really?
yeah, they did, yeah, they did. You imagine such
Wow.
a thing, right? But more, they've told me that people who give those newspapers now, more and more and more people are saying, thanks. Yeah, I really enjoy what you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to know a bit more. So give people some hope, Sean, Shane. Like you just said, go out, have fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And some of the techniques I taught you, go away and there's loads out there, and um, watch some inspiring videos. And meet with like-minded people. There's a group. We go down to Paynton. Um, I've just found a group here and it really, really helps. It helps keep you. You know that you're not on your own, and because none of us are on our own, and we're all in this together, and we're all going to come through this. So I'm absolutely positive about it, and we'll do it by supporting each other and inspiring each other. And change is happening. It might not be noticeable, but it is happening. And I've seen a lot of change in the last few years. A lot more people waking up
And
and aware of what's going on.
with the work you talked about, Shane, we'll just tell people where to find your work, because all the links will be under this show to your work, and they can get hold of you, and you can tell them where now in a minute. But um, I think it's an amazing time, Shane, because it's almost
It
like
is.
it's like a loop. It seems to me that automatically the system almost forces you to lose yourself, whether you go through school and then your job and the anxiety and then work and the monotony, and it's almost like a circle. That's why I was saying the pointlessness and the depression and the monotony is not quite pointless, because what it does, those feelings of pointlessness and despair actually pull you back towards yourself, because there's nowhere else to go. You want to feel that connectedness within yourself again, and
Yeah.
and have hope and feel that power within yourself again. So I feel it's like we're coming back home, almost like a falconer. You know, a falconer, when the falcon goes off
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it calls the falcon back, and I feel it's like
Yeah.
a scroll being rolled up. People, I feel humans are coming home almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 It's been the strangest 6 years that you could ever imagine. No, I, I followed a spiritual path since '92, I think, and I always thought I knew Ascension, but I thought it was going to be this lovey-dovey, fluffy get up into. I never realised it was going to be this, but when this hit, I thought, that's what it is. I made the connection, but I didn't think it was going to be like this. But maybe that's the only way. Maybe that's the only way people can wake up out of their slumber, because people are so hypnotised by consumerism and all the other kind of accoutrements in our society that perhaps it needs something like this to kind of wake them up. Perhaps this is the only way.
Well said, mate. Well said. So what if someone wants to? You do stuff online. You do personal Zoom calls with people, confidential personal Zoom calls to help people, don't you? With your
Yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah.
So
I mean,
we
I've got a website. I've got an email address. I
yeah, tell us
can
it
make.
now then.
Okay, so it's shanefudge
Yep.
at mail.com. That's the best way to contact me.
Yeah. And have you got a website yet?
I haven't. No, I did.
Yeah.
It was a bit expensive to run, so
Yeah. Well,
I need to.
you don't need one. People could just find you, and
Yeah,
I'm absolutely convinced that it's like tapping metal filings now. When people are on the right thing, frequency, and finding their way forward instead of backwards, they'll meet the right people at the right time. It's very interesting,
100%. Yeah,
you know. It's very
yeah,
interesting.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, Shane, it's been amazing speaking to you, and it's really weird because I was in the shop speaking to you earlier today, you know.
Yeah, this just carried on, really, hasn't
I know, yeah.
it?
And we could go ranting off into a lot of elaborate different things here, but all what I really want to do is give people. And when I switch off now and say goodbye to you, I'm just gonna have just a 5 minute rant on my own. I always do at the end, just to try
Yeah,
and just to remind people how magnificent they are and what power they've got within. They're such
yeah, yeah.
wonderful, beautiful people, and that I just think it's like that coming home now. I think it's almost like a birth back towards ourselves and we're the midwives of our own birth of a whole new system. That's, as I said to that woman when she left about her new schooling adventure. I said it's waiting within the womb of possibility to be born right now. All we got to do is push a bit. You know what I mean? Oh man. Yeah. Oh, Shane, it's great to speak to you, mate. So I'll give those. I'll give your. I'll put all your little contacts underneath, and
Yeah, thank you.
thanks, Shane, for what you're doing for people. I want to say
And
thank you.
thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks so much for being who you are and really helping
Thank
people. You
you.
know, and helping people guide them, helping them back home towards themselves. And it's a great thing you're doing. I really admire what you're doing, and you're a very genuine
Thank you.
bloke. I meet a lot of people in my shop, and I haven't met someone quite as genuine as you. You know, I really mean it. I'm not just saying that. It's
Thank you
true.
very much. Same for you.
You're a great bloke. Thanks so much, Shane.
Thank you. And thanks for having me on the show.
Well, I'll see you in the shop tomorrow, probably.
You will do. Yeah, you probably will.
Lots of
Take
love,
care.
mate. Take
Right.
care. I'm gonna have a little
And
rant.
you.
Thanks, Shane.
Bye, everyone.
There you go,
Cheers.
Shane Fudge, man. What a great guy. That man, I'm not joking. If more people were like Shane, who genuinely really want to help people, and the thing is with Shane, which I love, is that he is. I call people like Shane the wounded healers. Yeah. I'm not saying he's wounded now. We're all wounded. Make no mistake about it, right? And that's the biggest thing that we got to get over, that we're not wounded. Morning, how are you? Oh, great. Yeah. No, of course you don't want to say to people, oh, I'm terrible. No one would want to speak to you, would they? Yeah. But the greatest helpers that I've had in my life, I think they're called the wounded healers because they've been through so much within themselves in their own lives that they know what it feels like to struggle, right? So if I was going to get help, I would never go to a sort of a psychiatrist that was going to look over their glasses at me and say, "Yes, Jason, how are you today? You know, tell me how you feel." Yeah, I want to go to someone who knows what it's like to really struggle, you know. Like I said, I've gone in bins for food. I've been homeless. I've gone through terrible addictions, up, down, round, round. I want to speak to people who really get how I feel, you know. And I think that's Shane is great for that. So his details will be underneath this show. Give him an email, drop him a line. It's wonderful to have someone on your side because where we are now, it's about team building. Yeah. So it's about building teams, not only globally, but around yourself as well. A team of people around you that are like your family, you know. There's a great saying, and it was true, and someone said it, called Ralph Waldo Emerson, a great, great, great man. And he said, if we are related, we shall meet, right? And it is absolutely true. More and more people now are being brought together. A great mentor of mine, Charles Muses, he was did the lionpath.net. You can go, brilliant man. What a some kind of genius. I don't know what he was, but he's a beautiful healer and a very wise man. He said once, at a critical time in human history, people will be brought together as if by magic at that right time when things are going berserk to try and breathe a new system into being. And that sometimes it's got to become so excruciating. And I know so many of you here that are watching this. I haven't got a giant following, but so I was banned off YouTube. But I know that a lot of you watching this, it's excruciating to be in this system in a human spacesuit doing what you've got to do. It's excruciating. Yeah. It could be so much easier. The system could be so much better. It could be so much more symbiotic, caring, sharing, loving, kindness, all those words that you don't hear very much. Yeah, no, short and greed, profit, power, debt, slavery, misery, struggle. It should be the opposite of that. Yeah. So I've got great hope. I do think we're having rocky times. God knows what these psychopaths have got in store for us. A lot of people are saying they're crashing the system purposely. Now, still, there's a lot of people who say, oh, you're a conspiracy nut, tinfoil hat wearer for saying such a thing. I'm not saying it. I'm just wondering, from what the people I've spoken to, who really do know what's going on, a lot of them, they're saying that they're purposely crashing the system down to bring in cashless society, digital ID, and cause chaos in the oil market so everyone's going to be shoved into electric cars. Those things that tell you what to do and stop when you've gone too far on that, and you'll do 2 miles an hour over the speed limit, and it'll say beep beep beep. Sorry, could you get your credit card? Well, you won't need your credit card because it'll be digital banking ID, won't it? And they say we have just taken 60 tokens out of your account because you've just gone over the speed limit, and you will be banned from driving for the next 3 months. And if you're not a good girl and boy, we'll shut your back. Listen, I just look at George Orwell's book. It's just incredible. It's just so prophetic, But let's not get down about it. Like Shane said, I won't carry on too much because I'm starving. I want to go and grab something to eat. As Shane said, you've got to get joy in your life as well. Don't be in denial of reality. Like a lot of people I know, it's like, oh, I don't want to look into negative. What you resist persists, And, when you look at something negative, it feeds your energy and makes it worse. Oh, really? What's if someone's destroying the world and creating misery and chaos? Yes, you better look at it and you better see the reality of it, because otherwise it gives evil carte blanche to do whatever the hell it bloody well wants, yeah? So we must face the problems of the world and the psychopaths that generally get into these positions of power because they ethically compromise and morally compromise, which most good people wouldn't. Yeah, I was talking to David Icke about it the other day on my nice chat with him. You can go to YouTube, punch in Jason Leosatis or David Icke, Jason Leosatis, and you'll see our chat there. Really nice to speak to David again. I've had him on the show lots of times. Saw him in London. We were there backstage, yeah, surrounded by police. It was frightening, honest, not frightening. That's the wrong word. It was unnerving, surrounded by police pushing and shoving, full lockdown. I mean, really quite scary, guys, And we were out there saying, this is wrong. Don't be locked down. Who the hell do they think they are? Yeah. And the whole COVID thing's another story. I mean, look at my previous shows with Dr. Shelley Tenpenny, Del Bigtree, off the high wire. He made the film Vaxxed, all these brilliant people that were speaking out and saying, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. Wow. But anyway, the great thing about it is now, before I go, one last thing. I always say one last thing. There was always, and I've said it many times, and I'm going to say it many times more, there was always a sticky slowness time lag between when things bad and corrupt were done, for instance, the Iraq slaughter and lie, until when the truth caught up with it, the spotlight of truth. Now, that gap is closing. So more and more people are aware of the lying and the cheating in the world. Look at Gaza, look at Iran, I mean, look at Iran. Look what's going on. It's like, imagine someone, imagine the Iranians saying, hey, we got to stop these psychopaths, these American and Western governments. Because, by the way, Iran hasn't bombed and killed and slaughtered millions of people like the Western governments have, not like the UK governments have and the European governments. They haven't done that. But so imagine if Iran said, "Oh well, we don't like what you're going to do. We're going to stop these evil people, right?" And they bombed and killed the president of the United States or the president of the UK, like they did with the Ayatollah, whatever his name was. Yeah, can you imagine such a thing? Or just kill him. In other words, just like kill them just in case. Let's kill them just in case, yeah. Just in case they do get a bomb, we better kill them just in case, yeah. It's honestly, right? So imagine such a thing. And then they went to New York in their battleships and they said, we are going to stop the streets of New York, yeah, like the streets of Homer. Yeah? We're going to stop it. We're not going to let any ships through. Who the hell do they think they are? They're out of their bloody minds. They're crazy. Yes, I'm crazy as well. I am. But I'm ethically and morally sound. Right? I don't go bombing and killing people. These people are completely mad. It's becoming normal. People have forgot about Gaza now. It's on to Iran now. And then they're going to get Turkey. Hey, and Trump said, hey, guess what? Oh, no, well, I'm sounding like Gerald Salente now. Look at my show with Gerald Salente. I'm on YouTube and on Rumble, yeah. What a great guy. On the way back, we'll get Cuba. Yeah. Hey, because Cuba could become a threat really quickly, so we better kill them just in case, yeah? They're out of their freaking minds, man, yeah? They're going to take over the whole of the Middle East. The Greater Israel Project. That's what this is all about. And George Monbiot, shame on you, my friend. You accuse me of being a liar, literally a liar and a conspiracy fictionist. And it doesn't bother me. I don't care. I knew the truth would always come out. Because you said Washington, Israel doesn't control Washington. You call me like a conspiracy fictionist for thinking such a thing. Of course they control Washington. They control the UK government as well. Yeah. And the Greater Israel Project, they want to take over the whole of the Middle East. It's absolutely unbelievable, From one little verse in a Bible, yeah. Wow. Man, it's mental, yeah, mental. Anyway, as I've always said, and as I'll finish off, I'm finishing off again, is there's great hope. Because as I said in the beginning of this talk with the great Shane Fudge, the pointlessness that most people feel, the monotony, the dissatisfaction, the depression, the anxiety, all those symptoms, natural symptoms from a healthy body, mind, and spirit that's living in a system that's driving it freaking nuts and taking everything it earns in bills and poll tax and rubbish, yeah? It's a psycho world, yeah? Those feelings that you all have got, which I know you've already all got in varying degrees, some worse than others, they're normal. That's how you should feel. You should feel like that in a system of slavery. Because we're beggars and prostitutes and slaves. That's what we are. And that's good news to know that. Because it makes you realize you don't want to stay doing that all your life. Until you own your house and, no, I'm a great success now, wobbling around on your walking stick. I finally paid for my house. Come on, man. Come on, guys. We can build new systems. So I'm having Liz on the show. Hello, Liz, if you're listening. I've been I'm so overwhelmed with things I've got to do. That's the problem. And it's just, I can't tell you how many things I've got to do just to keep things going, So, but if just look at Natural Earth Eco Living for now. That's our website. Liz is going to be introducing her work. There's more people coming together and trying to create communities now. And Liz is coming on this show to talk about hers and what she's doing to bring people together. So I just say to people, please, I beg you, stop buying your houses for 400 grand, 300 grand, 250 grand, 700 grand, 800 grand. I know loads of people who are still buying their houses on their own. If 2 or 3 of you get together, you can buy a giant farm with hundreds of acres and start creating inspiring projects, bringing people together to create new projects and grow your own food and have brilliant, inspiring communities. And you won't be under the thumb. Not yet. They won't let you do this. Some of what I'm talking about. If it's going where I think it is, you won't be under the cosh of the system. You can't do that. How dare you try and break free and create your own food and water and electricity? How dare you? You're our slaves. You leave the prison when we say you can leave. Yeah. No, come on, everybody, stop it now and let's get together. So we're looking for people to come forward. NaturalEarthEcoLiving.com. You can use my email if you want to, jason.leosatos, that's my name there in the corner, at btinternet.com. Contact us, and we're looking for people to come forward. Some people call them angel investors. People who are going to come forward, love the project, look at the project, come and speak to us. We've got farmers ready. We've got farmers ready to start planting stuff. People who can put up polytunnels, people who can create inspiring communities. And honestly, we've got to do this. And once you can make these little templates, and all it takes is 3 people who are going to buy a house on their own, selfishly. Sorry, I don't blame you, by the way, because most people are nuts. You're going to come together with other people. People are barking, but we're going to have to try and do it, yeah? 3 people who are going to buy a house, or you've got your houses, you've paid for them. I haven't got one, so I can't do it. I still rent at my age. Sell them. Come together, buy a farm. Let's create the first project. I've got people waiting now to begin. Brilliant people. All permaculture, all sorts of people who know how to create loads of food, more than you could ever eat, and your own water and your own electricity and your own vibrant community. I mean, come on, guys. When are we going to do it? When the cosh is hitting you so bad on the back of the neck, you're scared to walk out of your 15-minute cities. We've got to create new systems now. You're the midwife. You're the creator. You're the mother giving birth to the new system that wants to be born, and you're the midwife. We're the ones that's going to do this. You. What are you going to say to your children and your grandchildren when they say, what were you doing when they were building this prison of slavery, the digital slavery around us? What were you doing? Were you trying to keep cash going? Were you trying to create another currency? Were you trying to build new systems when they were screwing up and destroying these ones? The last semblance of freedom? What were you doing? Watching bloody television and eating crisps? I mean, come on, everybody. Where are you all? I know people personally, their houses are worth nearly £1,000,000. Come on, everybody. Stop it. Don't think of yourselves. Think of people who haven't been born yet, who are going to be born into this system, right? And what we do now creates the future. And to all the people I know out there saying, well, I'm not going to do anything. Well, that still creates consequences down the timeline. That still creates the future, good and bad. So if you're not going to do anything, well, I can't be bothered. That's still creating the reality down the timeline, yeah? And for the spiritually minded that believe in reincarnation, watch out, because you might have to come back. And you might have to come back and relive another life in this world, in this system, down the timeline, yeah? So what you try and create now and what you try and do and change, you may be coming back to experience that. I don't know if that's true. Hey, I think it probably might be. Watch out. Be careful, yeah? Okay, I've had my rant. I feel better now. Yeah? I'm going to go and have something to eat. What are we going to say now? Yeah. So have a look at my other shows. Clear Air FM. Clear Air FM is Darren Smith. If you're seeing this, Darren, and the guys over there, thanks for doing what you're doing, guys. Fantastic work with the new radio show. Fantastic work with the Light newspaper. Honestly, that Light newspaper is fantastic. Well done to everybody there. They give it out in Totnes and on a Saturday down by Acturus Clinic. You'll see them down there, the guys giving those newspapers out. And well, prove them wrong. Yeah, prove them wrong. They're good people, Darren Smith they tried to crucify Darren Smith, the BBC did, and at the same time they tried to crucify me with that terrible creature, Mariana Spring, who came in my gallery, all smiles with the film crew, and tried to call me anti-Semitic, and that's gone now. You see, the anti-Semitic shield that's worked for so long is dissolving. Why? Because more people are saying, "Look what they're doing." Yeah, they're maniacs. Yeah, so the old anti-Semitic shield is dissolving now. So I was talking about this stuff years ago, what Israel was doing to the Palestinians, the disgraceful treatment and torture of Palestinian brown people, yeah? Just like in apartheid Cape Town when I was there and got shot at there for speaking out against that, yeah? Disgraceful, yeah? How dare they treat people in such a way, yeah? As inferior beings. Disgraceful. But it's all coming out. The smelling salts is in people's faces now, and the chloroform and the amnesia is lifting at last, and people can see the type of people that controlling this planet, yeah, with their madness. The Straits of Hormuz closes from Trump bombing Iran with Israel, yeah, and the whole global system's going to collapse. The economy and people starve, can't cook, got no food, got no gas to cook because of maniacs like that, psychopaths like Trump and his ilk, controlled by the Israel lobby, the Zionist lobby. And I got people still saying to me, Trump's going to save us. Yeah, yeah. He's playing 5D chess. Yeah. He's bringing down the Bank of London. He's bringing down all that, you know. I hope you're right. I hope he is our savior, yeah. But he's not. I can tell you who's your savior. You're your savior. All you lot. So start creating new systems. It's not hard. The farmers are being sold off, because they're struggling, they can't do anything, fertilizer and all the rest of it. You take over the farms, sell your houses, buy the farms, and let's get going and create a magnificent, exciting community. And then we use those templates and spread them worldwide. Yeah? Come on, everybody. Believe in yourselves. Don't buy these stupid little houses in these streets with tiny gardens and the parking space on your drive for one car. Like hamsters in boxes crammed together. You know what happens when you put rats together near each other in boxes? They all start squabbling. Yeah? Let's build expansive communities and let's get back to nature and let's get back to sanity and get back to empathy and love and caring and sharing, because it's being so eroded, so eroded. We need it back, guys. We really do. Treat other people like you like to be treated. Treat yourself with dignity and love. And go to Shane's links underneath. Shane there. I've written on his card, look, but go to Shane's work there. He's a great guy, very compassionate man, very loving man. Okay, that's enough for me. I'm sick of myself now. I speak until I'm sick of my own voice, and you probably switched off ages ago, so we'll see. So please support my show. Go to jasonleosatis.com to support my show and buy my book, The Emergency Transformation of Human Beings, which is becoming more and more poignant now than ever in these uncertain times. And there's a lot of things in there to help you find that peace again within yourself, which is there. It's not something you have to try and get. It's there already inside yourself. And my book talks a lot about that, refinding your power and magnificence. And then you can go to my art studio. I've got a little art gallery in Totnes in Devon. jasonleosatisart.com. Go there and get my prints if you want to support me. Buy a print, and we'll send it to you, or a canvas, or original if you want to get an original painting. Or if you want to just support me on Patreon, go to Patreon. All right. And go to naturalearthecoliving.com. My wife makes a brilliant ethical clothes range, ethically sourced materials. She's a designer. She's got a clothes range online called naturalearthecoclothing.com. So there's lots of things to have a look at. And most of all, I love you and love each other. And a better world is possible. So now, how do I turn this off? Yeah, I've forgotten how to turn it off. Where you are? More. Is that it? More, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know how to turn it off. I'll just press this button and see what happens. Bless you. I love you all. And take care, right? Bye for now.